you can probably tell, I love dioramas.
Ever since I was a kid, flicking through the pages of White Dwarf, I've been fascinated by them, and in my opinion they're the pinnacle of our hobby, where artists can show off not only their painting skills, but also their storytelling ability.
It was inevitable that after returning to the hobby, I was going to try one myself.
Inspiration came in the form of an online competition run by this year's Slayer Sword winner, Dave Perryman. Critter Challenge requires you to paint the smaller characters in our already small hobby, and winter-themed entries were encouraged. My mind exploded with ideas, but having never actually made a diorama before, I needed to create a plan. So on went my winter thinking cap, and I got to work. After some hard pondering, I settled on some Nurselings. The kit is just so characterful and fun, and I knew it would be great for the idea I had in mind. After that, I assembled a load of other useful crap, and I began work on the build.
Before I get into discussing my process and the lessons learned from this project, I just want to say a massive thank you for all the support on my last video. It absolutely blew me away, and it was just so awesome to see like all the comments and views coming and stuff like that. I really appreciate it. And welcome to all the new subscribers. I hope you enjoy the content going forwards, and yeah, thank you. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the process I took to create this diorama. Rather than just a tutorial, I kind of want to reflect on some of the lessons that I learned while creating the piece. And I know what you're thinking, yes, it is a Christmas scene, and yes, it is mid to late February, but it took me quite a while to figure out what I wanted to do with this video, and it seemed like too cool a project not to make a video on. So if you can look past the festive nature of the piece, we'll begin. During this diorama build, I tried to limit my spending as much as possible. Fortunately, I did end up having to buy a whole new box of Nurselings and only used like 12 of them, but I'm sure I'll use the other ones in a future project. But for the rest of the build, I kept it really cheap. I used some coffee stirrers from my local coffee shop, a Christmas tree for a doll's house off Etsy was a couple of quid, some wood, some green stuff, and this plinth off eBay, another cheap MDF plinth. So that was it. I just really wanted to try and keep it cheap and affordable, because I find it's super inspiring on YouTube when I watch other diorama builds of people that just use random household or everyday objects and they turn them into, you know, amazing looking miniature versions of other objects. And while I don't think I nailed this with mine, I'm glad I took that principle into the build, and I think I did get a good result with it. For example, the floor here is really cool. See, most flooring, like this stuff in my house, is just so boring. As soon as the floor is the big part of my diorama, I knew it couldn't look like this. But this floor is really nice, and it's kind of like a cozy log cabin, kind of nice. And to build this, I used the tried and tested method of borrowing a few too many coffee stirrers for your coffee from your local coffee shop, brought them home, stuck them down on the plinth, and you know, they were looking good already. And I think the reason this floor is really cool is the way I painted it, or the lack of paints that I used, but to still get a really cool result. So I was working on this diorama when I was back home at my parents' house over Christmas, and I showed it to my mum as I was building it, and she had the genius idea of using wood polish on the floor to create this wood effect, and it just worked absolutely perfectly. One thing I did before applying the wood polish though was took a scalpel knife and just cut some extra grooves into the coffee stirrers to create a bit more texture, or dug it in to create some little dents and stuff in the floorboards. And then it was just simply a couple of coats of furniture polish, just, you know, smearing it all over there, making sure it was really nice in the nooks and crannies and stuff like that. And then I left it to dry, and I just got this amazing result, and it just looks so cool. It just showed me that inspiration for our projects doesn't have to come from within the hobby or from other YouTubers or things like that. Obviously they're great sources of information, but sometimes I think that being resourceful doesn't just mean using cheap products or stuff like that. It means looking for the ideas that, you know, are right in front of you, or asking people around you for fresh perspectives that aren't in the hobby, because sometimes they have really good ideas, like my mum did on this one. So shout out to my mum for this, and yeah, please use this idea going forwards and let me know if you do, because I'm sure we're going to be using it in the future as well.
Okay, so let's get to some painting, and in this part of the video I'm going to show you how I painted these little Nurselings here. Inspired by a great Vince video, I decided to have a go at undershading, and man was it a fun technique. Whilst I don't think it's suitable for all things we paint, for example I wouldn't use this on a cloak or cape, it is perfect for skin, especially weird demon or alien skin like that found on our little green friends we have here. The general principle is to get colour on the model quick, pre-shading and highlighting the area, then you build up over that with your main colour. The varying shades underneath your main colour create tonal differences across the area which look more naturally occurring. My undershading was done with Word Bearers Red, Real Yellow, I don't know how you say that, and Ice Yellow, and I'm just sketching out my shadows, midtones and highlights. This is simply done by starting with a base coat of red and then dry brushing the highlight colours on top, but focusing them as we get brighter to the more raised and prominent areas of the model. After this, you can begin to build up your normal highlights, but have your paint thinner than usual. Not glaze consistency, but thinner than the layers. We still want to show that undershading beneath. I began with Warpstone Glow, but you could use any green here, and preferably more of a goblin-y green. But then you begin to add more yellows and ivories into the mix. For this I used Avalon Sunset and Screaming Skull, and you progressively add these more and more into the mix, so you're going from about a 4:1:1 to a 2:1:1 to an equal mix of them all, and then you have more yellow and ivory in the mix. You're just slowly adding in more and keep mixing it in the same pot or part of your wet palette. My final highlights I then built up to were with Ice Yellow, and these were just picking out the edges and all the details of each model. I then grabbed my original green mix and used that to blend some of the highlights together, just glazing back over the transitions to smooth them out. I then used purple and glazed this into the shadow area to create some tonal variation, and then I used Reikland Flesh Shade just to go around any kind of boils or areas where I thought the skin would be pulled tight, just to make it look a bit fleshy and gruesome. I then came back in and used Ice Yellow again, just to pick out the very sharp edges and details on each model. Finally, the boils just got a layer of Kislev flesh and then a purple glaze and a bit more Reikland flesh around them. What you can see is from all these different colours and undershading, we get such a varied final result. This technique is great because you can also do it fairly fast. Yes, it's a lot of steps, but neatness isn't necessary as we're trying to create natural variation. And I found that you can get into a really good groove of it when batch painting, and it was just a fun, different technique to do. So I definitely recommend giving it a go, and yeah, I'll try it on some more things going forward and let you know how it goes.
Something I've realised going through this process is that I absolutely love competition painting, and that I'm not a super competitive person, and it's not really, I don't love it because it's about the winning or I'm trying to win, and for me it just doesn't feel like that's achievable at this point or really what it's about for me at the moment. But why I love it is just seeing so many people's work and just the kind of experience of being involved with it, and you know, seeing everything getting posted on Instagram as I'm posting my progress pictures as well was just a really cool field to be in and was super motivating. There were so many entries into this competition that I just absolutely love, and I think the credit for that goes to the idea for the challenge. It's just, a critter challenge is such a creative challenge, and the models are quite playful anyway, so people just came up with some really fun ideas, and like I said, I just absolutely loved seeing them come through, and as I've been talking, you would have just seen like a couple of my favourites flashing up on screen. So congrats to everyone who entered, and of course the winners as well. I remember when I saw the competition pop up on Instagram in December, I just had a big kick of inspiration, and I knew I wanted to enter. But normally I get kicks of inspirations for a lot of things, and you know, some ideas are just hard to see through and never get realised. But being in a competition, it was nice. It's always like being at uni or school where you have exam deadlines, and always when there's a bit of pressure, I do my best work. So it was just nice having that deadline to ensure that I just doubled down on my idea and made sure I followed through and got it in, and it made me actually complete an idea. And it's really nice to realise an idea and realise I can make these. You just have to put that kind of little bit more pressure on yourself to get it done. Seeing everyone else's pieces as well as through January they started to get put on Instagram also motivated me just to finish mine and get mine out there to join in the collection of other pieces as well. And yeah, I spent ages just scrolling through Instagram, looking at other people's ideas and just thinking like, oh my gosh, like how did I not think of to do that? Or that's so clever, or, you know, getting other ideas for other things. And, you know, it was brilliant. So yeah. And whilst I didn't make it to the finalists, or nor was I really expecting to, I was really, really happy to see that my diorama made it on stream where they did the judging. So the judges actually talked about it, and I got a little bit of feedback or just their opinion on it as they spoke about it for a minute or so. So here's a clip of them speaking about it now.
The next one. Okay. So I just thought this was a really fun little scene here, and we've got like it ticks all the boxes kind of. It's got a Christmas tree. We've got a bunch of Nurselings going on. They're all having fun, all having a bit of a pie. We've got one that's like an angel on the top of the tree, one sort of poking his head out from the tree, and one what looks like to be vomiting onto a Christmas turkey of some kind.
Yeah, this is a fairly accurate Christmas celebration for a lot of people. I think this is just essentially what a lot of people go through.
But there's so much going on with this piece. I thought we'd chuck it in here because it's
really ambitious. Like why would you go through all this work? But it's awesome that you did. I love this.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's just so much going on in this little scene. It's amazing. I mean, how many Nurglings are there in total? Like, there's like a whole squad of Nurglings there. But yeah, it was very, very cool.
Yeah.
If you've seen the other videos on my channel, then you know I'm currently painting up an Orc War boss for Cult of Paint's Miniature Painting Open 2025, which is in May in Bristol this year. I'm currently 25 hours into that project, and it just feels like, I mean, I haven't even finished the base coats, you know, it just feels like it's taking a long time. And I'm at that point now where I think the bubble or the realization of what it actually takes to make a competition piece is sinking in. But finishing this piece just gave me motivation to know what it feels like and how satisfying it is to finish a piece like that. And I'm excited to see how far I can push myself, and, you know, just to be in Bristol and see my model there with all the other entries and have that feeling I had finishing this diorama. So yeah, that video will be coming soon when I check in with my progress on that, so stay tuned to see that. But yeah, I like competition painting. I just want to end this video by explaining why I love dioramas so much, now with the perspective of having made one myself. And I think the big reason comes down to really that they're just the perfect sized project. Compared to a single miniature, there's so much more room for creativity, and especially in your ability to storytell and, you know, create scenes and bring your models to life. But then also compared to an army, they're far less daunting and overwhelming. You know, we all know the feeling of starting a new army or being in the midst of one like I am now with my wood elves and just thinking it's never going to get done, when there was always kind of the light at the end of the tunnel with this project. And I already have more ideas for other dioramas. I think one way I could improve with this, and generally with my painting, is just have a bit more patience. For example, like the presents here, I rushed a little bit. The tree, I rushed a little bit. You know, it's not all perfect, but I didn't really want it to be. I just wanted it to be finished and have that baseline. But yeah, I have a few more ideas for the channel, so I think there'll be some more dioramas coming soon. As I've been chatting, I just wanted to play some clips of me at the start of this project, beginning it by the fireplace at my parents' house. Just had some really nice cozy hobby sessions over Christmas, and I even managed to squeeze in a quick hobby session on this project on Christmas Day while my parents were snoozing in front of the telly. But I think what I'm trying to get to here is that I love cozy hobbying, and I'm a real lover of cozy things, you know, and I love that this hobby allows you just to kind of relax at home and, you know, just have a really nice time in the comfort of your own home. And, you know, I love going out, I'm quite extroverted, but sometimes it's quite nice just to be at home and relax. And if it's either, you know, just crafting, hobbying on my own while I listen to a podcast, or having a craft night with my girlfriend or something like that, you know, it's just really nice stuff. And I think that this scene, this cozy Christmas scene, really reflects the cozy feeling that I had hobbying over Christmas. And I'm just really glad that diorama has that feel to it, and, you know, it's almost like kind of reflects that time for me, I think. So that's why I'm really happy with this diorama. If you're still watching, I just want to say a massive thanks for watching to the end of the video. I really tried to push my filmmaking and editing for this video, and I appreciate there was probably less hobby stuff and this was more of like a reflective chat, but I like having a combination of different videos because it just changes it up and they're fun to make. For example, my last video was quite tutorial based, but this one was more about my feelings, about the hobby, and making a fun video that was fun to make and edit as well. I hope over the course of my channel that these kind of two paths of video I make will kind of intertwine, and I'll make really nice cinematic videos about hobby projects as well, and kind of, you know, meet the two together. But for now, we'll just see how we get on from here. Again, I just want to say thank you to everyone who watched my last video and subscribed to the channel. The response was just absolutely, you know, so much more than anything I could have ever imagined, and it just gave me so much motivation to keep making new videos and better videos for the channel. I hope you've enjoyed this video too, and as always, I wish you well and happy hobbying, and see you in the next one.